Rama हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद।
जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद।
जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद।
जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद।
जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद।
जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद।
जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद।
जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद।
जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद।
जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद।
जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद।
जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद।
ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितां तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च श्रीकृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। Hare Krishna. So on behalf of ISKCON Manchester, I welcome you all to our Friday Bhagavad-Gita class. Generally on Friday we discuss Bhagavad-Gita, but last few weeks we've been discussing various parts of Chaitanya. Mm, I think there is some noises here. So, so we've been discussing Lord Chaitanya's pastimes from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and devotees have come together to now discuss about a very important acharya in the life of any Gaudiya Vaishnava. It is the pastimes of Sri Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri is the Param Guru of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Guru Maharaj is Ishvara Puri, and his Guru Maharaj is Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri is one of the most important acharya in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara. So last week we discussed from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 4. This chapter is the devotional service of Madhavendra Puri, and we discussed of the first part of this chapter, where Sri Madhavendra Puri, we'll just briefly recap what we discussed in last week. Sri Madhavendra Puri is doing a parikrama of Sri Govardhan in Vrindavan, and while he is resting at Govinda Kund, Sri Gopal comes in a form of a boy. He says, Madhavendra Puri, you should not fast. In my village, nobody fast. And Madhavendra Puri, he asked him, how do you know that I am fasting? He said, all the village girls, when they come to fetch water from the Govinda Kund, they saw you not eating anything. So I brought you this, these ladies asked me to bring you this milk for you. So please have this milk. And this is time for me to go and milk the cow. So I'll come back and I'll bring back and I'll take the pot back from you. So Madhavendra Puri was very much attracted to this boy like never before. And in a short while, he fell asleep. And in the dream, he saw the same boy that boy brought him the milk. And the boy told him that I am the same Giri Govardhan, and my deity is now in the jungle. You please come and rescue me. This deity was installed by Vajranab, but because of the attacks from the Muslim kings, the Pujari, he was afraid and he hid the deities here and he ran away. So, but for many years, I've been here and I've been suffering. So I've been passing through the wet seasons, hot seasons, cold seasons, and I've been hungry for a long time. So please come and rescue me and install me in the top of the Govardhan hill. So Madhavendra Puri woke up and then he gathered all the Brajbasis from the nearby village, Aniyor, and he, as instructed by the Lord, he found the deity. And then Madhavendra Puri installed the Sri Gopal on the top of the Govardhan hill. And then all the Brajbasis came together and they had a wonderful installation ceremony. And it was said it was such a grand ceremony that Brajabasi were saying that this reminds of the first Govardhan Puja that Krishna inaugurated. That time, mountains of food was offered to Sri Giri Govardhan. So this is the same Annakut festival. And then Madhavendra Puri, he trained all the pujaris and all his disciples, and he established a wonderful seva for Sri Gopal. And slowly, the Gopals, they built some Kshatriya devotees came. They built a nice temple for Gopal. The Brajbasis donated cows for Sri Gopal. And then Gopal, he was worshipped very nicely. And for about 2 years, the Sri Madhavendra Puri was worshipping Sri Gopal very nicely. Then again one day, Gopalji came in the dream of Sri Madhavendra Puri. And that's where we stopped last time. So today we carry forward the story from that part onwards. Now we're going to read about 100 shlokas from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We'll do the same as last time. We'll read from Chaitanya Charitamrita this 100 shloka translation. Then at the end, we'll discuss one by one some of the lessons that we can learn from this pastime. So I request all the devotees, please be ready to, if you like to, read from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And if we'll take about turns, and we'll read about 20 shlokas at a time, about 100 shlokas that we have to read. So I request all the devotees, please be ready. I'll just share the translation. I'll do initial 5 shlokas, then each devotee can do the rest of the 20 shlokas. So let's see where exactly we have here. Can everybody see the screen now? Is it readable? Somebody can give me some.
Yes, Prabhu.
Readable. Okay. Okay, so I'll read the first 5 shlokas, maybe 6 shlokas, and then from 111 onwards, somebody else can take it up from there. So this we are reading from the Madhya Lila, chapter 4 of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, shloka 105. In this way, the deity worship in the temple was very generous, very gorgeously performed for 2 years. Then one day, Madhavendra Puri had a dream. In his dream, Madhavendra Puri saw Gopal, who said, "My bodily temperature still has not decreased. Please bring sandalwood from the Malaya province and smear the pulp over my body to cool me. Bring sandalwood pulp from Jagannath Puri. Kindly go quickly. Since no one else can do it, you must." After having this dream, Madhavendra Puri Goswami became very glad due to ecstasy of love of Godhead. And in order to execute the command of the Lord, he started east toward Bengal. Before leaving, Madhavendra Puri made all arrangements for regular deity worship, and he engaged different people in various duties. Then, taking up the order of Gopal, he started for Bengal. When Madhavendra Puri arrived at the house of Advaita Acharya in Shantipur, the Acharya became very pleased upon seeing the ecstatic love of Godhead manifest in Madhavendra Puri. And maybe some other devotee can start from 111 till next 20 shloka.
Can I, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Thank you. From 111 to 116, yeah? 15.
Yeah, 20 shlokas, Mataji. So to go till 130, Mataji.
All right, thank you. Advaita Acharya begged to be initiated by Madhavendra Puri. After initiating him, Madhavendra Puri started for South India. Going into South India, Sri Madhavendra Puri visited Remuna, where Gopinath is situated. Upon seeing the beauty of the deity, Madhavendra Puri was overwhelmed. In the corridor of the temple, from which people generally viewed the deity, Madhavendra Puri chanted and danced. Then he sat down there and asked a Brahmana what kinds of foods they offered to the deity. From the excellence of the arrangements, Madhavendra Puri understood by deduction that only the best food was offered. Madhavendra Puri thought, I should inquire from the priest what foods are offered to Gopinath so that by making arrangements in our kitchen, we can offer similar foods to Sri Gopala. When the Brahmana priest was questioned about this matter, when the Brahmana priest was questioned about the matter, he explained in detail what kinds of foods were offered to the deity of Gopinath. The Brahmana priest said, in the evening, the deities offered sweet rice in 12 earthen pots because the taste is as good as nectar, Amrita. It is named Amrita Keli. This sweet rice is celebrated throughout the world as Gopinath Shira. It is not offered anywhere else in the world. While Madhavendra Puri was talking with the Brahmana priest, the sweet rice was placed before the deity as an offering. Hearing this, Madhavendra Puri thought as follows: if, without my asking, a little sweet rice is given to me, I can then taste it and make a similar preparation to offer my Lord Gopala. Madhavendra Puri became greatly ashamed when he desired to taste the sweet rice, and he immediately began to think of Lord Vishnu. While he was thus thinking of the Lord Vishnu, the offering was completed and the arati.
Arti ceremony.
Sorry, what number is it? I'm sorry, I wasn't looking at
121. 121.
121, thank you. While he was thinking of Lord Vishnu, the offering was completed and the arati ceremony began. After the arati was finished, Madhavendra Puri offered his obeisances to the deity and then left the temple. He did not say anything more to anyone. Madhavendra Puri avoided begging. He was completely unattached and indifferent to material things. If, without his begging, someone offered him some food, he would eat, otherwise, he would fast. A Paramhamsa like Madhavendra Puri is always satisfied in the loving service of the Lord. Material hunger and thirst cannot impede his activities. When he desired to taste a little sweet rice offered to the deity, he considered that he had committed an offense by desiring to eat what was being offered to the deity. Madhavendra Puri left the temple and sat down in the village marketplace, which was vacant. Sitting there, he began to chant. In the meantime, the temple priest laid the deity down to rest. Finishing his daily duties, the priest went to take rest. In a dream, he saw the Gopinath deity come to talk to. I cannot read. Sorry, can you scroll? Thank you.
Yes, Mother.
Thank you. Finishing his daily duties, the priest went to take rest. In a dream, he saw the Gopinath deity come to talk to him, and he spoke as follows: "O priest, please get up and open the door of the temple. I have kept one pot of sweet rice for the sannyasi Madhavendra Puri. This pot of sweet rice is just behind my cloth curtain. You did not see it because of my tricks." A sannyasi named Madhavendra Puri is sitting in the vacant marketplace. Please take this pot of sweet rice from behind me and deliver it to him. Awaking from the dream, the priest immediately rose from bed and thought it wise to take a bath before entering the deity's room. He opened the temple door.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So other devotees can start 131 till 150.
Shall I read? Krishna.
Mother Prabhu, you would like to read?
Yeah, 131 to 20, yeah? Another 20.
131 to 150, yeah. So 20 shlokas.
Thank you, Prabhu. Text 131. According to the deity's directions, the priest found a pot of sweet rice behind the cloth curtain. He removed the pot and mopped up the place where it had been kept. He then went out of the temple. Closing the door of the temple, he went to the village with a pot of sweet rice. He called out in every stall in search of Madhavendra Puri. Holding the pot of sweet rice, the priest called, "Will he whose name is Madhavendra Puri please come and take this pot? Gopinath has stolen this pot of sweet rice for you." The priest continued, "Will the sannyasi whose name is Madhavendra Puri please come and take this pot of sweet rice and enjoy the prasadam with great happiness? You are the most fortunate person within these three worlds." Hearing this invitation, Madhavendra Puri came out and identified himself. The priest then delivered the pot of sweet rice and offered his obeisances, falling flat before him. When the story about the pot of sweet rice was explained to him in detail, Sri Madhavendra Puri at once became absorbed in ecstatic love of Krishna. Upon seeing the ecstatic loving symptoms manifest in Madhavendra Puri, the priest was struck with wonder. He could understand why Krishna had become so much obliged to him, and he saw that Krishna's action was befitting. The priest offered his obeisances to Madhavendra Puri and returned to the temple. Then, in ecstasy, Madhavendra Puri ate the sweet rice offered to him by Krishna. After this, Madhavendra Puri washed the pot and broke it into pieces. He then bound all the pieces in his outer cloth and kept them nicely. Each day, Madhavendra Puri would eat one piece of that earthen pot, and after eating, he would immediately be overwhelmed with ecstasy. These are wonderful stories. Having broken the pot and bound the pieces in his cloth, Madhavendra Puri began to think, the Lord has given me a pot of sweet rice, and when the people hear of this tomorrow morning, there will be great crowds. Thinking this, Sri Madhavendra Puri offered his obeisances to Gopinath on the spot and left Ramuna before morning. Walking and walking, Madhavendra Puri finally reached Jagannath Puri, which is also known as Nilachala. There he saw Lord Jagannath and was overwhelmed with loving ecstasy. When Madhavendra Puri was overwhelmed in the ecstasy of love of Godhead, he sometimes stood up and sometimes fell to the ground. Sometimes he laughed, danced, and sang. In this way, he enjoyed transcendental bliss by seeing the Jagannath deity. When Madhavendra Puri came to Jagannath Puri, people were aware of his transcendental reputation. Therefore, crowds of people came and offered him all sorts of respect and devotion. Even though one may not like it, reputation, as ordained by Providence, comes to him. Indeed, one's transcendental reputation is known throughout the entire world. Being afraid of his reputation, Pratishtha, Madhavendra Puri fled from Ramuna. But the reputation bought by love of Godhead is so sublime that it goes along with the devotee as if following him. Madhavendra Puri wanted to leave Jagannath Puri because the people were honoring him as a great devotee. However, this threatened to hinder his collecting sandalwood for the Gopal deity. Sri Madhavendra Puri told all the servants of Lord Jagannath and all the great devotees there the story of the appearance of Sri Gopal. When all the devotees at Jagannath Puri heard that the Gopal deity wanted sandalwood, in great pleasure, they all endeavored to collect it. Hare Krishna, Sri Madhavendra Puri ki jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thanks.
Some devotee, you can do 151 to 170, please. Anyone?
Can I read, Prabhuji?
So, who is this? I'm not able to.
Premdatri.
Yes, sure, Mataji. Please go ahead.
Those who were acquainted with government officers met with them and begged for camphor and sandalwood, which they collected. One Brahmana and one servant were given to Madhavendra Puri just to carry the sandalwood. He was also given the necessary traveling expenses. To get past the toll collectors along the way, Madhavendra Puri was supplied with the necessary release papers from government officers. The papers were placed in his hand. In this way, Madhavendra Puri started for Vrindavan with burden of sandalwood, and after some days, he again reached the village of Ramana and the Gopinath temple there. When Madhavendra Puri reached the temple of Gopinath, he offered his respectful obeisances many times at the lotus feet of the Lord. In the ecstasy of love, he began to dance and sing without cessation. Is that right? How is it?
Yes, Mataji.
When the priest of Gopinath saw Madhavendra Puri again, he offered
Sorry, Mataji.
He offered all respects. When the priest of Gopinath saw Madhavendra Puri again, he offered all respects to him, and giving him the sweet rice prasadam, made him eat. Madhavendra Puri took rest that night in the temple, but towards the end of the night, he had another dream. Madhavendra Puri dreamed that Gopal came before him and said, "O Madhavendra Puri, I have already received all the sandalwood and camphor. Now just grind all the sandalwood together and camphor and then smear the pulp on the body of Gopinath daily until it is finished. There is no difference between my body and Gopinath's body. They are one and the same. Therefore, if you smear the sandalwood pulp on the body of Gopinath, you will naturally also smear it on my body. Thus, the temperature of my body will be reduced. You should not hesitate to act according to my order. Believing in me, just do what is needed." After giving these instructions, Gopal disappeared and Madhavendra Puri awoke. He immediately called for all the servants of Gopinath and they came before him. Madhavendra Puri said, "Smear the body of Gopinath with this camphor and sandalwood I have brought from bought for Gopal in Vrindavan. Do this regularly every day. If the sandalwood pulp is smeared over the body of Gopinath, then Gopal will be cold. After all, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is completely independent. His order is all powerful." The servants of Gopinath became very pleased to hear that in the summer all the sandalwood pulp would be used to anoint the body of Gopinath. Madhavendra Puri said, "These two assistants will regularly grind the sandalwood, and you should also get 2 other people to help. I shall pay their salaries." In this way, Gopinathji was supplied ground sandalwood pulp daily. The servants of Gopinath were very pleased with this. In this way, the sandalwood pulp was smeared over the body of Gopinath until the whole stock was finished. Madhavendra Puri stayed there until that time. At the end of summer, Madhavendra Puri returned to Jagannath Puri, where he remained with great pleasure during the whole period of Chaturmas. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally praised the nectarian characteristics of Madhavendra Puri, and while he related all this to devotees, he personally relished it.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Another devotee can do next 20 shloka, please.
Can I read, Prabhuji? I'm new today.
No, Mataji, please go ahead, Mataji. Please go ahead, please.
Okay. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Nityanand Prabhu to judge whether there was anyone within the world as fortunate as Madhavendra Puri. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Madhavendra Puri was so fortunate that Krishna personally appeared before him on the plea of delivering milk. 3 times the Lord gave orders to Madhavendra Puri in dreams. Being obliged because of the loving affairs of Madhavendra Puri, Lord Krishna himself appeared as the Gopal deity, and accepting his service, he liberated the whole world. On account of Madhavendra Puri, Lord Gopinath stole the pot of sweet rice. Thus he became famous as Shirakora, the thief who stole the sweet rice. Madhavendra Puri smeared the sandalwood pulp over the body of Gopinath, and in this way he was overpowered with love of Godhead. In the provinces of India, governed by the Muslims, there was such inconvenience in traveling with sandalwood and camphor. Because of this, Madhavendra Puri might have gotten into trouble. This became known to the Gopala deity. The Lord is very merciful and attached to his devotees. So when Gopinath was covered with sandalwood pulp, Madhavendra Puri's labor became successful. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu placed the standard of Madhavendra Puri's intense love before Nityanand Prabhu for judgment. All his loving activities are uncommon. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, indeed, one is struck with wonder to hear of his activities. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, Sri Madhavendra Puri used to remain alone. He was completely renounced and always very silent. He was uninterested in everything material, and for fear of talking about mundane things, he always lived without a companion. Hare Krishna. Shall I read 180 also, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji. Go till 190, Mataji, till 190.
Up till 190, Prabhuji?
Till 190, yes, please.
Okay. After receiving the transcendental orders of Gopal, this great personality traveled thousands of miles just to collect sandalwood by begging. Although Madhavendra Puri was hungry, he would not beg food to eat. This renounced person carried a load of sandalwood for the sake of Sri Gopal. Without considering his personal comforts, Madhavendra Puri carried one mond, about 80 pounds of sandalwood, and 20 tolas, about 8 ounces of camphor to smear over the body of Gopal. This transcendental pleasure was sufficient for him. Since there were restrictions against taking the sandalwood out of the Orissa province, the toll official confiscated the stock, but Madhavendra Puri showed him the release papers given by the government and consequently escaped difficulties. Madhavendra Puri was not at all anxious during the long journey to Vrindavan through the provinces governed by the Muslims and filled with unlimited numbers of watchmen. Although Madhavendra Puri did not have a farthing with him, he was not afraid to pass by the toll officers. His only enjoyment was in carrying the load of sandalwood to Vrindavan for Gopal. This is the natural result of intense love of Godhead. The devotee does not consider personal inconveniences or impediments. In all circumstances, he wants to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Gopal wanted to show his intensely Madhavendra Puri loved Krishna. Therefore, he asked him to go to Nilachala to fetch sandalwood and camphor. With great trouble and after much labor, Madhavendra Puri brought the load of sandalwood to Rimuna. However, he was still very pleased. He discounted all the difficulties. To test the intense love of Madhavendra Puri, Gopal, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, ordered him to bring sandalwood from Nilachala. And when Madhavendra Puri passed this examination, the Lord became very merciful to him. Such behavior, exhibited in loving service between the devotee and the devotee's lovable object, Sri Krishna, is transcendental. It is not possible for a common man to understand. Common men do not even have the capacity. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mata. Those last few shlokas, I'll just read it myself. After saying this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu read the famous verse of Madhavendra Puri. That verse is just like the moon. It has spread illumination all over the world. Continuous rubbing increases the aroma of Malaya sandalwood. Similarly, consideration of this verse increases one's understanding of its importance. As the Kaustuba Mani is considered the most precious of valuable stones, this verse is similarly considered the best of poems dealing with the mellows of devotional service. Actually, this verse was spoken by Srimati Radharani herself, and by her mercy only was it manifest in the words of Madhavendra Puri. Only Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has tasted the poetry of this verse. No fourth man is capable of understanding it. Madhavendra Puri recited this verse again and again at the end of his material existence. Thus, uttering this verse, he attained the ultimate goal of life. And that verse is, O my Lord, O most merciful Master, O Master of Mathura, when shall I see you again? Because of my not seeing you, my agitated heart has become unsteady. O most beloved one, what shall I do now? When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited this verse, he immediately fell to the ground unconscious. He was overwhelmed and had no control over himself. Shri Madhavendra Puri ki jai. Hare Krishna. So, thank you very much for the devotees for reciting this shloka together. These are the very jewel-like shlokas from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Lord's very intimate devotee Madhavendra Puri, his pastimes are described. So now we'll go one by one the pastimes that we just read from these wonderful pages. So as Madhavendra Puri, he was serving Gopal at Vrindavan, and for 2 years the festivals were going on. Then one day Gopal again came into the dream of Madhavendra Puri. and he said that I am very hot. I've been hidden into this jungle, and my body is still very hot. You please bring the sandalwood from the Malaya hill, which is near Jagannath Puri, and bring that sandalwood and apply that sandalwood paste on my body, and I will be very cooled. Uh, so, what do we learn from this story again? This order of the Lord. The Lord, we know earlier, this is the same Gopal who lifted Govardhan hill. At that time, Indra was, throwing, the stones, pillars of rain onto the Vrindavan. And that time, Krishna, he lifted Govardhan hill effortlessly for 7 days and 7 nights. So here is a supreme personality of Godhead. He is not dependent on anybody. But here, Krishna, Gopal is saying, Madhavendra Puri, I am very hot. So you please bring this chandan from the Jagannath Puri. So the Lord, he is only interested in the love of his devotee. He wants to give glory and credit to his devotee, that how my devotees are so surrendered to me. At the latter part of the chapter that we discussed, we read, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is glorifying that quality of Sri Madhavendra Puri. That is completely surrendered to the will of the Lord. The Lord does not need anything from us. He is Atmaram. He is completely, independent. He does not need anybody's help. But he loves his devotee. And then for his devotee's glorification, just to glorify and show the world how glorious is Madhavendra Puri. Lord, he manifested these pastimes. How Madhavendra Puri is such a selfless servant. So then Madhavendra Puri, he immediately, he started walking towards the Bengal and then to Orissa. So in those days, there was no trains or no flights or no automotive, arrangements for traveling. You had to walk all the way. So Madhavendra Puri, he walked all the way to Bengal, and then he came to a place called Remuna, and there is a beautiful temple of Sri Gopinath is situated. So he was so happy, in the description it is mentioned, he was chanting and dancing, and he was so happy seeing the form of Gopinath that he actually did not know where he was. He was completely immersed in the love of Sri Gopinath. And he was chanting and dancing there. And then Sri Madhavendra Puri, he immediately remembered his Gopal. Gopal, he's offered such a wonderful feast for last 2 years, wonderful services going on, but still he remembered Gopal. That's another distinct characteristic of a devotee. Every devotee has a very unique relationship with Krishna. Every devotee's relationship with Krishna, it is not identical. There is some differences there. It is very unique. The Gopinath and Gopal, they are the same Krishna. There is no difference whatsoever. But even while taking the darshan of Gopinath, Madhavendra Puri is remembering Gopal. And he was just thinking, all the time, what kind of service I can offer it to my Gopal. So, he was seeing that, that in this temple, the standard of worship of Gopinath is very high. So he's inquiring from the priest, what kind of services are happening. And Madhavendra Puri, he came to know that, they are offering, wonderful feast to Gopinath. And they particularly told Madhavendra Puri that they offer a particular kind of a kheer, which is as good as Amrit. And that's why his name is called Amrita Keli. And this kind of kheer, it is not offered to the Lord anywhere in the world. So Madhavendra Puri was very happy hearing this. And right at that time, the pujaris, he brought those kheer in front of Gopinath. And then he started offering this Gopinath. The offering started to Gopinath. So Madhavendra Puri, remembering his Gopal, that this is the best offering, they do it for Gopinath here. So my Gopal also should have the same offering. But as you all know, we discussed earlier, um, Sri Madhavendra Puri, he will not beg anything to anybody. So he was just thinking in his heart that somehow or other, if I get this little kheer and if I taste it, I will know how it is made, and then I can go and offer the same kheer to my Gopal. See, here again, he is not trying to engage into sense gratification. He is just thinking about Gopal. He wants to serve Gopal. But the next moment he's thinking, oh my God, what have I done? Uh, the Gopinath has not eaten the kheer yet, and I'm thinking of eating that kheer. Oh, I'm such an offensive person. I don't deserve to be even standing in front of Gopinath. And he was disgusted with himself. How can I do this? I shouldn't have done this. So without telling anybody, he just leaves the place, and then he goes to a vacant place where nobody is there in a marketplace. He goes and starts chanting there. So meantime, the pujari, he finishes the these offering, and then it is a time for Lord to rest, and then pujari, he's taking rest, and then pujari's dream comes Sri Gopinath. And what does Gopinath tell him? He said, you know, you always offer me this kheer, and there are 12 pots of kheer that you offer me. But today you only collected 11. There is one pot is missing, and I stole that pot for my dear devotee Madhavendra Puri. And that pot I have hidden behind the cloth, behind my cloth. So now you please, take this pot of kheer and give it to Sri Madhavendra Puri. And the pujari, he had this dream, and it comes suddenly, shook up and says, "What have I dreamt? Is it true? What I've heard is true? Is it true or not?" There's only way to find out. He said to go to the altar and find out whether that pot is there or not. So he takes a bath and goes to the temple, and lo and behold, at the back of Lord's cloth, there's one pot of kheer that was there. So these pujaris, it is their daily routine, to offer the kheer to Gopinath, and they are very pakka about counting. Especially pujaris are very pakka about counting Mahaprasad. So he was 100% sure that Gopinath has definitely stole this kheer for Madhavendra Puri, and he was sweating and in ecstasy, and he says, look at the Lord is so glorious. He steals for his own devotee, kheer for his own devotee. And then he goes out of the temple, and Gopinath didn't show the picture of Madhavendra Puri to him. He just knew the name of this devotee. So he goes out, to the whole village. Madhavendra Puri, the kheer, the Lord Gopinath, he stole kheer for you. Where are you? You are the most fortunate person. Please take this kheer, Madhavendra Puri. And he's going to the whole town. And finally he comes to the place where Madhavendra Puri, he's chanting. And then, he identifies himself, said, yes, what have I, how can I serve you? So Madhavendra Puri, you are the Madhavendra Puri. Look, the Lord, this is the pot, Lord still stole this kheer for you. And then Madhavendra Puri, ecstasies of tears, rolled from his eyes. And he says, my Lord is so merciful. He looks after me so nicely. He stole this kheer for me. And then Madhavendra Puri, with a very grateful heart, he eats this Mahaprasad of kheer, with a very grateful heart. And then, he's remembering that this is the pot, my merciful Lord stole for me. So, he made the pieces of those pot, that pot. And then every day he would take little piece of that pot, and he'll eat it. It is earthen pot. And he will, tie it into, in his, on his vest. So every day, he will keep this pot with him and eat little portion of that pot with him. So while he was remembering Gopinath and all the Remuna Vasis, they glorify. Oh, Madhavendra Puri, that Madhavendra Puri was thinking that Gopinath, now the whole town knows that Gopinath, he stole kheer for me. And if I stay here, they'll come and they'll start offering, and glorify me. This is not good. Glorification is not good. It might make you proud. So without telling anybody, he offered his obeisances to Gopinath and he left that place. So let's take a break here and understand, the last few minutes what we discussed is that one thing that we know that Madhavendra Puri is always remembering his Gopal. And then Gopinath and Gopal, they are identical, they are not different. And Gopinath as the Madhavendra Puri remembering Krishna, the Krishna is remembering Madhavendra Puri. It's not that when we do bhakti, we remember Krishna. As we remember Krishna, Krishna also remembers us. Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita, Ye yatamam prapadyante tam sateva bhajamyaham. As you approach me, I reciprocate accordingly. If in our life we have no other business other than pleasing Krishna, then Krishna also says, I also have no other business other than pleasing my devotee. If we are always 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and throughout our life, we are simply remembering Krishna, Krishna also simply remembers us. So Gopinath, he is remembering Madhavendra Puri. And the Lord, he knows what our desires are. So also Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna says, Yogakshamam Vahamyaham. It was a desire of Madhavendra Puri to taste that kheer so he can offer it to Gopinath, to Gopal. And Lord fulfilled his desire. So the Lord, he knows all our desires. And any desires which is good for our spiritual life, Krishna will always fulfill. But any desire which is not good for our spiritual life, then Krishna will not fulfill those desires. But of course, in this case, Madhavendra Puri, his desire was completely, transcendental. For the pleasure of Gopal, he was desiring to eat that kheer. And Krishna provided that. And the last is from what we discussed so far, that Madhavendra Puri, he's so careful, about any contamination touching him. The desire for the pratishtha or the self-aggrandizement or the position in the society, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur compared it like a wet stool of a pig. Desiring for a pratishtha in the society is a very dangerous thing. Actually, it's a very obnoxious and dirty thing. So Madhavendra Puri, he had no desire whatsoever, to be famous. His desire was only one, how can I please my Gopal? How can I serve Krishna? So when he was thinking that, if I stay here a longer time, people will come and start glorifying me. See, you are a great devotee. Gopinath stole kheer for you. So, and that is not good, this is very dangerous condition, pratishtha, and then glorification. This is not nice. So he immediately left. But here in this world, people spend thousands and millions of pounds and, to become famous in this world. You see sometimes, some famous public programs are there, some TV cameras there. Everybody want to comes to in the TV. I want to become famous. I want to become famous. Everybody wants to become famous in this world. Here the fame, was coming after Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri, he rejected. He left that place. And the other thing, before I forget, that devotees also, they give thousands of names to Krishna. So by this first time, Krishna, the devotees gave this wonderful name to Krishna, to Gopinath. From that day onwards, that Gopinath was known as Kirchor Gopinath. A Gopinath who stole kheer for his devotee. So this temple, it is still there. If you go to Orissa, not very far from Jagannath Puri, the town of Remuna, where Gopinath, they don't call him Gopinath, they call him Kirchor Gopinath. Another name of Krishna is Makhan Chor. Now he is called Kirchor Gopinath. And many times we discussed, for his devotee's pleasure or to serve his devotee, Krishna doesn't care his own personal reputation. He will do anything for his devotee. He says, if I'm called, Makhan Chor, I don't care. If they call me Ran Chod, one who runs away from the fighting, I don't care. So Krishna, is not at all, bothered about all these things. But anyway, any name given to Krishna is glorious. I was just hearing one class. He says, to tell somebody a chore, a thief, is a very bad thing. But here Krishna is called Kirchor. Devotees, they with lot of love, they call Krishna with this name, Kirchor Gopinath. So anyway, we take this story forward. And now Madhavendra Puri, he is walking towards Jagannath Puri. And while walking, all the way to Jagannath Puri, every town, he is passing. People are coming all the places. Says, no, Madhavendra Puri, you are the devotee who stole kheer. Gopinath stole kheer for you. And Madhavendra Puri was saying, how come these people know? So, in the reading that we did, it is mentioned that, when Lord wants to make you famous, nobody can stop it. Lord actually wants his devotee to be more glorified than himself. So in those days, there was no mobile phones or social media or anything, but still before Madhavendra Puri reaches any village, his glories are already reaching there. And finally comes to Jagannath Puri. And in Jagannath Puri, all the devotees receives him so nicely. And then he tells the story that, how Gopal appeared in Vrindavan. And Gopal, his desires to be, applied by chandan paste. So please, arrange for me the chandan. So then all the priests, from Jagannath temple, they collect, very large quantity of chandan and camphor or kapoor, we call it. And then, then they also send 2 more persons with Madhavendra Puri to carry, because, in those days, you have to carry everything on your back. So then these 2 men, they, along with Madhavendra Puri, they all come to Remuna on the way to Vrindavan. They again reach Remuna. And here one thing that, it is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that look at the fearlessness or complete dependence of Madhavendra Puri on Krishna. Madhavendra Puri, it is said, he had not a single farthing, or he had no money whatsoever. And chandan, it is a very expensive item. You can't just, it is as good as expensive as gold. But he simply wanted to, serve his Gopal. So when we have a desire to serve Gopal, our own deity or our own particular Lord or form that we are worshipping, then one should not worry about the material arrangement. The money or the arrangement, Krishna does everything. And I also mentioned, that this expensive item, Madhavendra Puri had to cross so many borders and tax collectors and all. It is a very troublesome journey one he had to take, but he was completely dependent on his Gopal, and Gopal arranged everything for him. And then he finally comes to Remuna, and again, the Pujari there is so happy to see Madhavendra Puri again, because last time just after one day he left. So they're all happy to see Madhavendra Puri back again, and they offered him nice kheer prasadam again. And then, that night, Madhavendra Puri took rest. And then Gopal of Vrindavan, he appeared again into the dream of Madhavendra Puri. So Madhavendra Puri, this Gopinath and me, we are one and the same. This is my now desire that you apply this Chandan to Gopinath. Applying Chandan to Gopinath is same as applying Chandan to me. So if you apply this Chandan to Gopinath, I'll be very cooled here. I'll feel very comfortable. So please apply this Chandan to Gopinath. So Madhavendra Puri is as surrendered as he is. He immediately relates this dream to all the devotees of Gopinath. And everybody becomes very happy. Now our Gopinath will be now applied with the Chandan. So the next day they arranged devotees to now Chandan, making a Chandan paste is not an easy task. This Chandan stick, and he had to rub on the stone for hours and hours. And after hours of rubbing that Chandan with the water, you get very small quantity of Chandan paste. So so they appointed I think 4 devotees to this service. So then they made a big quantity of chandan paste and mixed it with the camphor or kapoor. And then they applied the body of Sri Gopinath, and everybody was so happy and jubilant seeing the Gopinath applied this chandan. So this festival happened till the whole stock of the chandan was completed. So this is that day. Today is Akshay Tritiya. Today is the beginning of this festival. This festival is called Chandan Yatra. And many major temples of the northern India, and I believe probably in South India also, they apply this Chandan to the deities of the temple. And then it's for about 2 weeks, so it is starting today, 14th of May, till 3rd May this year. They'll be applying Chandan to the deities, various deities in the various temples of India. Why? Because Krishna, in this summer season, he feels very hot, and devotee, they don't like his Lord to have any uncomfortable condition. So they apply this wonderful Chandan to the Lord. So again, this whole pastime, there are many lessons that we can learn. But the one important lessons that we can learn is that if you see scientifically the whole Chandan applying process to the Lord, it's all hot everywhere. And person who is rubbing the devotees who are busy in rubbing this, grinding this Chandan stick on the stone, it's a very labor intensive service. So scientifically, if you're hot, you should be applying the chandan on your body. But these devotees, they apply this chandan on the body of Krishna. But because they are in love with Krishna, because they have a love of Krishna in their heart, they achieve the most transcendental feeling of association with Krishna by applying the chandan to the Lord. It is far superior than feeling cold in this summer season by applying the chandan on your own body. So this is a very interesting situation. That in this hot summer season, devotees, they are not making their own body cool, but rather they make the body of Krishna very cool. And that's where the Prabhupada's famous teaching, that if you water the root of the tree, the entire tree gets watered, the entire tree gets satisfied. Similarly, if you simply serve Krishna, then all the entire population, everyone connected to Krishna gets satisfied. So it's a very great lesson that we learn from this story of Chandan Yatra. And then Sri Madhavendra Puri, he is happy seeing the Gopinath, and then he goes for 4 months to Jagannath Puri for Chaturmas. And then this whole story, it is described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along and in narrating stories to Nityanand Prabhu and all the other devotees. And Mahaprabhu is just going into the ecstasy, so how Madhavendra Puri, is so surrendered to Krishna. And then, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions this particular shloka that was very dear to Madhavendra Puri. He was reciting this shloka. He went to the last moment of his stay in this world. So this is the story of the shloka of how Madhavendra Puri is remembering Krishna in separation. It's Mahaprabhu says this is the most confidential shloka, and one not ordinary person cannot understand this. So when Mahaprabhu says this, who are we or who am I, to talk about these particular prayers. But whatever I've heard, from my guru and senior Vaishnavas, we'll carry forward, or we will talk more about the mood of Madhavendra Puri and this particular shloka, and how our whole Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, how they are glorifying Madhavendra Puri. This particular part we'll discuss next week. So next week again, this will be concluding part of the glories of Madhavendra Puri. So we'll just summarize the various teachings that we can learn from Madhavendra Puri, and also the how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is remembering Madhavendra Puri. So it's 8:45 now. So I stop here. I pray that you enjoyed this particular pastimes from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I made some took some pictures from the internet to have some darshan for us. We cannot go to Remuna today, but let's see if we can get some darshan today of the Lord. So this is the Sri Gopalji from Chopati temple. There you can see his whole body is covered with chandan. And many of our temples, our ISKCON temples, our deities will be covered with chandan, for next 2 weeks. This is one of the most beautiful darshans, you can have in the year, when the Lord is covered in chandan. And this is this one more picture we seen last week. This is the time when Madhavendra Puri was in Govardhan Hill and Krishna brought milk for him. Krishna said, nobody fasts in my village. So Krishna brought milk for Madhavendra Puri. And this is this picture from Remuna. Even till today, they offer this nice kheer to Gopinath. So this is that kheer Mahaprasadam. We can, very transcendentally, you can try to taste this Mahaprasadam with your, we are having this virtual katha, so you can have virtual prasadam today of Sri Gopinath's kheer prasad. And this is that beautiful deity of Gopinath. This is the same Gopinath, from Remuna, who stole kheer for Sri Madhavendra Puri. Sri Kirchor Gopinath ki jai. So, looking at this wonderful darshan, we should pray to the Lord that Lord, please grant me a benediction that one day, we all can come to Remuna and take your darshan and remember the love of Madhavendra Puri for the service of his beloved Lord. And when we also serve the same Lord, with the same enthusiasm and surrender in service of Srila Prabhupada. So let's pray that someday we can go and take darshan of Sri Gopinath at Remuna. And this is the darshan of Sri Gopinath without the chandan. This is how the deity looks, the darshan at Remuna. Shri Kirchor Gopinath ji ki jai. So I stop here. Thank you very much, all devotees. If anybody has any questions, or if they would like to, add some into the story that we discussed, so we can relish more, deeply about the pastimes of Madhavendra Puri. So I stop here. If anyone would like to ask any questions or comments, Please do so. Hare Krishna. I wish we can all have Kheer Prasadam today, but in virtual world it is not possible. Maybe someday we'll have Kheer Prasadam.
You made us hungry, Prabhu, very much hungry. We will come to Stoke-on-Trent now for Prasadam, Kheer Prasadam. Radha Madan Mohanji Kheer Prasadam. We will come and taste it there. That was very wonderful, Prabhu. So also it's nice occasion that today is Chandan Yatra, Akshay Tritiya, and how nicely, coincided this whole thing. So that was really wonderful. We felt like that we were in Remuna. We were in Remuna. Thank you so much for nicely describing, Prabhu. So many wonderful lessons that we all can learn from this wonderful pastime. And how so devotees, they don't care for their personal discomfort. At the age, at the later age, Madhavendra Puri was carrying a load of 80 or 40 pounds, or 80 pounds, something like that. Yes. So number of kgs load on his head and carrying on with his camper. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Radha Mohan Prabhu. Would you like to make announcements, or shall I just quickly make?
Please go ahead, do the announcements, please.
Yes. So a couple of very quick announcements. So today, Friday, Sunday, this Sunday, we have the second session of Ramayan class by His Grace Shubha Vilas Prabhu, part 2. It is entitled The Jewels from Ramayan. We had part 1 last Saturday. So it was wonderfully received. So please do not miss it. So please come and take part. This is on Sunday, 1 o'clock. Our Sunday Peace program. It will be our Sunday Peace program. And coming Friday will be the Bhajan Sandhya. Madhav Kumar Prabhu will let us know who will be the singer for that. Also with the government rules and update on the COVID relaxations, we will discuss as a temple management. We will come together and discuss, see what we can do to actually, when can we actually open the temple again. But looks like, today I was watching the news, and looks like this Indian variant, this is causing some problems. The number of cases, have gone up, and the government says that it is more transmissible than the previous variant, and it might have some effects on the relaxation that were proposed in June. So we don't know what's going to happen, but we will discuss and see what we can do about that. Also, if you are lonely, come and attend Zoom classes. Even if you are with the family, you can come and attend Zoom classes. Either way, with the family, sometimes if you don't you don't come and attend Zoom classes, you get carried away. Yeah, that's one side. And if you're on your own, you get carried away as well. So either way, if you're lonely or with the family, please come and attend these Zoom classes. This simple hearing is a very powerful tool, and this is repeated time and again in every page of Bhagavatam. Every page of Bhagavatam says that simple hearing. Just we have to pay a little attention, come and pay a little attention to the katha. So I request everyone, please attend. So once again, thank you so much, Radha Mohan Prabhu, for wonderfully narrating that. His Grace Radha Mohan Prabhu ki jai. Praise Madhavendra Puri Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari.
Hari 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 Hari.
Hare
Krishna, thank you very much, Prabhu. What a beautiful class.